Welcome to the Explainer. Right, today we are going to do a literal page-by-page review of a high-stakes job offer. We're going to break down the exact math of what it truly means to work in the UK versus the US. Because, as you'll see, it's not just about the money you make, it is entirely about the money you actually keep. Picture this. A job offer lands right on your desk. It's the exact same job you do right now, but it's in America. And the salary is nearly double. Do you sign it? Well, most people would absolutely jump at that headline number, but I want to warn you right now. Every comparison you've seen online usually gets this wrong. Why? Because American payslips and American bills just work completely differently.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our agenda for today. We'll start with the headline illusion, then move to taxes and take-home pay, followed by the hidden health costs, holidays, bills, and childcare, the 3 salary tiers, and wrap up with the final verdict. Section 1. The headline illusion, setting the baseline tiers. To make this fair, we need to look at 3 distinct worker profiles that we're going to evaluate throughout this explainer. Here are the 3 offers on the table. Tier 1 is our ordinary earner making a £30,000 salary in the UK, matched against $60,000 in the States. That's roughly where the American median lands right now. Tier 2 is a solid mid-career salary, £60,000 in the UK versus $120,000 in the US. And Tier 3 is our ambitious earner, pulling in $100,000 in the UK, matched against a $200,000 American offer. Just a quick note on exactly how we're doing this. We are pulling official data from the ONS for the UK and BLS wage data for the US, so we are comparing the exact same jobs. But crucially, we are pricing bills in local currencies. We aren't just converting everything to dollars because, let's be real, nobody pays a Manchester mortgage in dollars, and nobody swaps every latte through a foreign exchange app. You live in the currency you earn.
Section 2, Taxes and Take-Home Pay, the first deduction. So, turning the next page of this offer letter, we hit the payslip. And man, this is where that massive American number first starts leaking. You see, in the UK, the system is fairly unified. You pay your income tax and national insurance. The only major quirk is that if you hit the £100,000 mark, the personal allowance taper turns your income between $100,000 and roughly $125,000 into an effective 60% marginal tax trap. It is a genuine cliff that everyone near it knows painfully well. But look at the US side. America doesn't have one tax system, it has 51. You actually have to choose a state. We'll use the honest extremes here. Texas, which has absolutely 0 state income tax, and California, where the top rate hits 13.3%. Now, what's really interesting about this is how the math actually plays out in reality. If you look at our mid-career tier, the take-home gap is noticeably narrower than the gross headline gap. By the time federal tax, FICA, the stuff that funds Social Security and Medicare, and state taxes eat their share, that double salary just isn't quite double anymore. At every single tier, the American gross is bigger, sure, but the net gap shrinks before we've even paid a single bill. Section 3, the hidden health costs. Let's turn the next page. Let's see how this builds by looking at the health insurance clause. This reveals a massive structural difference in how medical care is funded. In the UK, this page of the contract, it's effectively blank. You pay for it via general taxation on your payslip, but there's no monthly premium deduction, no deductible, and no out-of-pocket maximum. When a kid falls off a slide, the line item at the hospital is £0. The American health insurance clause, however, is basically a small essay. Even with an employer plan, you are dealing with premiums, an average single deductible of nearly $1,900 before insurance even really kicks in, and out-of-pocket maximums that regularly run into the 5 figures for families. Medical debt exists as a major household finance category in the US in a way it simply doesn't in the UK. So, here's the absolutely crucial point. $6,850. According to the KFF 2025 survey, that is the average annual contribution an American worker pays directly out of their paycheck just for a family health plan. And remember, that money disappears before anyone even gets sick. Section 4. Holidays, bills, and childcare. The lifestyle line items. Let's look at the hidden costs that dictate how much of your life you actually get to enjoy. Okay, the culture shock here is literally immense. A UK full-time worker is legally guaranteed a minimum of 28 days of paid statutory leave, plus 52 weeks of parental leave with statutory pay for 39 of them. In the US, The federal statutory paid leave is exactly zero. Zero! The typical American private sector offer gives 10 to 14 days of paid vacation. Federally paid parental leave is also zero. Look, if you're 24 and single, 10 days off might be fine. But if you have a family or aging parents who need care, losing 18 days of holiday could be the most expensive and exhausting page of this entire offer. Next up, we need a fair regional city comparison. I mean, we can't compare central London to rural Ohio, right? We're looking at Manchester versus Austin. As of May 2026, the average private rent for a two-bed is strikingly similar in both cities. But look at the house prices. Manchester averages around £247,000, while Austin sits near $492,000. And while British council tax feels expensive, Texas will happily send you a property tax bill of around 2% of the home's entire value every single year. The American house requires a much bigger loan and carries a much, much steeper tax. And this brilliantly illustrates our next massive hurdle: childcare. The U.S. national average for center-based infant care in 2026 was $1,230 a month. That is $14,760 a year for just one infant. And it doesn't meaningfully drop until kindergarten. Compare that to the UK, where the recent expansion of funded hours means an eligible working parent can often secure a part-time nursery place for an under two for effectively free during term time. Section 5. The 3 salary tiers. Applying the arithmetic. All right, we've read the fine print. We've seen the taxes, the health deductions, the lost holidays, and those heavy childcare bills. Now it's time to apply this harsh math directly to our 3 specific worker profiles. For Tier 1, the ordinary earner, the headline suggests America wins by a mile. But the reality is pretty grim. American healthcare and childcare costs act as a highly regressive tax on this income bracket. That nearly $7,000 healthcare premium and the $14,000 childcare bill practically wipe out the entire pay advantage for a family. Add in the drop from 28 days of holiday down to 10, and a safety net that falls from universal credit in the NHS to threadbare, state-dependent unemployment insurance. Yeah, this tier starts to look very, very different. Moving up to Tier 2, our mid-career earner. This is what we call the honest middle. Here, the financial gain is absolutely real. Your take-home pay in a place like Texas is materially better, largely because the U.S. tax system gets substantially more favorable compared to the UK's higher rate bands. You're surviving that $1,200 a month infant childcare bill, but man, you are definitely feeling it. Plus, you are still taking on major healthcare exposure and giving up 18 days of holiday. The arithmetic here is incredibly complex. You're balancing real financial gains against severe lifestyle trade-offs. Finally, Tier 3, the ambitious earner. Now, this is where the American system entirely stops punishing the worker. While the UK worker is hitting that painful 60% marginal tax trap at $100,000, the US system is practically rolling out the red carpet for you. At the $200,000 level, employer healthcare plans are usually gold-plated and fully covered by the company. High property taxes and hefty childcare bills, they just become a highly manageable share of a very large income. For high earners, the U.S. math effectively shields them from the hidden costs that completely wipe out the lower tiers.
Section 6. The final verdict. Who really wins? Okay, we have read the entire offer, line by line. It is time to stamp a final decision on each of these 3 job offers. Here are the verdicts. For Tier 1, the verdict is stay. Unless you are single and childless in Austin, the cost of a family will consume that raise entirely. For Tier 2, it depends. If you're healthy and childless, you might sign it. If you have 2 kids and actually need the healthcare and holidays, you stay, because the costs undo the raise. But for Tier 3, the verdict is decisively sign it. Not because it's a perfect paradise, but because the specific arithmetic of being a high earner in America is vastly more generous. The math, quite simply, heavily favors the rich.
Which brings us to an honest closing truth. The question was never which country pays more. It's which country lets your salary keep more of your life. Gross income means absolutely nothing without properly analyzing the hidden lifestyle costs waiting on the other side of the border.
I want to leave you all with this final provocative thought today. If the American offer only truly wins out for those who are already making $200,000, does the American dream only apply to those who need the raise the least? It's the part neither country really wants to admit, but as we've seen, the math doesn't lie. Thanks so much for engaging with this explainer today, and I hope it invites you to completely reconsider everything you thought you knew about international salary comparisons. See you next time.